get hold of the Nintendo Entertainment System. You're playing with power. The Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
The Nintendo Entertainment System was a console that defined a generation, and a true staple for any child of the 80s. The NES sold an estimated 69.91 million, and saved the video game industry from the crash of 1983, propelling Nintendo, a Japanese business that began as a trading card company, into a global behemoth and a household name. I can't tell you how many hours I've logged playing classic titles like Mario, Metroid, or The Legend of Zelda. Those 8-bit sprites hold a special place in my heart and pull me back to a yesteryear full of childish glee and sore thumbs. It may have taken Nintendo over 25 years to make a successful jump to 3D with the Nintendo 3DS, but what if Nintendo had been able to pull this off from the very beginning? What would those classic games look like in 3 dimensions? Maybe that's the thought which plagued Korean software developer Tran Vu Truk as a young man and echoed throughout time, leading him to start a project that would answer this very question. While Nintendo and Sega have released a handful of reimagined 3D classics on the Nintendo 3DS, Tran Van Truk has taken a different route, creating an emulator that essentially transforms two-dimensional Nintendo classics into new 3D classics. But the software takes it a step further. By using a special algorithm, it can render rounded objects into cylindrical shapes, so a warp pipe from Mario will actually look like a big, bulging pipe, complete with a nice drop shadow effect to fully realize the 3D. Raised platforms not only build into the background, but scroll horizontally with a shifting depth to complete the illusion of three-dimensional perspective. The emulator even allows you to change the game's axis or rotate the screen entirely, zooming in and out to create dynamic angles. Keep in mind the 3D NES does this all in real time. There is no special tools or software to convert the ROMs into 3 dimensions. In March 2016, Vu Truk released the first beta of the 3D NES. Initially, the emulator only ran in Firefox as a WebGI Unity player. The initial beta came up against many criticisms, as most testers found the web interface too difficult to use, especially when trying to load the NES ROMs through the cloud Dropbox. But those who put the effort forth were provided with a completely new, if not somewhat glitchy, experience. A desktop port followed in June 2016, this allowing users to use local ROM files. While the 3D algorithms work great for games with simple backgrounds, more complex scrollers like Contra or Castlevania can become a bit more glitchy, and some games are downright unplayable. Luckily, the user can tweak the 3D settings to better accommodate each game. With a handy drop-down menu the player can access at any time, so through minor tweaks and revisions, the user can find the best settings. Playing the games as new 3D versions does indeed change the experience, and immerse you in an 8-bit landscape in a way that I never imagined. If you are a fan of retro emulation, you really need to take the time to play your favorite titles from a whole new perspective. The overall effect is hypnotic. I never imagined we would have an emulator that did these things.